Hey everyone, this is Angela from Bake It With Love, and today we're making this beautiful rainbow cake. There's rainbow layers inside. We'll cut into it in a minute and show you rainbow bottom border thrown in for good measure, as well as rainbow mini starburst jelly beans on the top in a nice circle. So lots of colorful candy fun going on, and sure to please everyone. So let's cut into it, see how the inside looks, and then we'll get moving on how to make this. Okay. Nice. Beautiful rainbow, all ready to eat. Okay, we've got our ingredients for our cake here. Our basic white cake, one of the simplest ones that I do, is 1 cup milk, half a cup of butter that's been melted and allow it to come to room temperature, cool down a bit, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of clear vanilla that I'm using, 2 eggs, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 1/3 cup of sugar, and 2 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Okay, we're going to start with our flour in the mixer. Add the sugar, baking powder, and our salt. We're going to use our paddle attachment and combine our dry ingredients first on low so you don't end up with flour in your face. Okay, I'm going to add in my milk. The melted butter. My eggs. And the clear vanilla extract. And let it mix for about 2 minutes until it's thoroughly combined and you have a nice batter. Okay, next thing we're going to do now that our batter is all finished, make sure that you do scrape the sides when you're mixing your batter or you're going to end up with flour at the bottom. But we're going to divide our batter now into 6 equal portions that we'll add our food color to for our layers in our rainbow cake. The batter has been divided equally between our 6 bowls. We've added 5 of our colors that we're using for our rainbow layers today. The orange, blue, green, yellow, red, and then we're going to add our purple to this bowl. I'm using a gel color that I picked up. They're in these little containers. I'm just going to add my food color directly into my batter and then stir it in. So I'll just stir your coloring into the batter until it's evenly distributed. If it's not quite the color you want, add a little bit more. So I always start out with just a bit and go from there. And for each of our colors, we're just going to transfer them into our greased baking pans. Like I said, these are 6-inch, and I just used the spray, non-stick cooking spray today. So pour it into each of your pans and tamp them down so they're nice and level, and then bake them at 350 degrees. And we will be right back and see how those look. Okay, our cakes are all out of the oven. We did bake them for 20 minutes exactly. We're gonna let them cool just a few minutes here and then remove them from the baking pans and transfer them to a wire cooling rack to cool completely. It's been about 5 minutes, and we're just gonna pop these on out of the pans. Next thing we're going to do is add our frosting between each layer and stack them, add them, and then we'll add a crumb coat around and on the top and refrigerate this to let it chill before we add our rainbow frosting on the outside and our candy topping. So, a generous dollop of buttercream, and you can see I wiped as much crumb off as I could, but it's going to want to come up with you. You might need a second bowl to wipe your spatula on to remove the crumb, because you don't want your crumb from the purple carrying over into the blue or green or yellow or red or orange. So we've got a little bit of frosting on our top layer, and we put the frosting between our buttercream. I'll link the recipe for that. You can use whatever frosting you want for this. So I'm gonna start adding my buttercream around the sides and hope that I've got enough to do this without making more. So keep applying the frosting to the sides. We'll be back when I've got that done, and then we'll smooth it. Okay, so we got it semi-covered, and remember to warm your spatula up if it's not working too well. We got this side reasonably ready to go into the refrigerator so that all of this buttercream can firm up a little bit, because right now with a few layers on, your cake wants to move. So let's go along and scrape until it's fairly smooth. And this one doesn't have to be perfect. We don't have fondant going over this. We're gonna do another layer of buttercream. We're gonna color all those layers and do the rainbow ombre up the sides. So okay, this one's gonna go in the fridge and set up now. And we'll be back to finish frosting it with our colored buttercream, rainbow colors. And then we'll add our candy on top. Okay, I don't know how the color looks on here on the picture, but it's as close to red as I'm gonna get right now, unless I want to add a ton of food coloring. So continue with each of your colors until you are ready to go. 6 colors and some white. We'll be back when those are done. So I've got all of my batches of frosting with the colors that I want for them. I've got 5 tips that are one standard size Wilton round tips. These are 2As. I've got one larger 1A that I'll be using for my purple. And then I've got a smaller round tip that I'll be using for the white frosting on the top of the cake. So I'm gonna get these loaded all into my piping bags. And if you don't have a bunch of tips and piping bags, remember you can use a Ziploc bag just as easily and squeeze this out of a corner too. Okay, our cake is ready. We've got all of our different colors in the respective piping bags. And we'll start with the purple, matching the layers of the cake that we have assembled already and crumb coated with buttercream. We're starting down here at the bottom, and I don't want the full round to come out, so I want to press it against the side of the cake, because that's way too much. If I keep that consistency all the way around the side, and I'm leaving a gap because I'm going to put a border down here. With your next layer, and continue this until you have all of your colors added. Okay, we've got the layered colors added up the side, a little bit more white frosting on the top where we'll be placing our jelly beans. So now we got to smooth the sides, and because we have the rainbow colors here, for those of you that aren't that good at smoothing your sides of your cake, you can have a problem possibly just like me. We will be scraping our scraper, removing any excess frosting, as well as rinsing it and getting some more water on it so that it smooths our frosting down beautifully. So go along very carefully, scrape your sides, and remove your excess frosting. Okay, I've got my sides smoothed, and we're working on pulling in and smoothing the top so that we can add our jelly beans up here. I've got my kiddo separating out my jelly beans for me. She's pretty happy to help out with that, go figure. So we're just going to keep smoothing the top, and then we'll add all of our jelly beans. Okay, the cake is nice and frosted even. We'll add our bottom border next, but we are going to start with our candy on the top. These are Starburst jelly beans, mini jelly beans. I'm going to go around And just set them along the edge here in concentric circles as we add our different colors. So you'll see in between the next row. Okay, I've got all my jelly beans placed on the top. Now I'm going to move my jelly beans out of the way and play with my frosting to make some rainbows for the bottom border. I'll be right back. I didn't need that big of a square of it, but I went overboard. Now I have If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for being here. We loved having you. We'll see you next time.